back up. This is going to be under a different one. But Allie, you probably won't be able to hear her super well on the other side, but she'd explained like a circumstance on campus, and the circumstance was how one of their employees got married, and now the person that is married, her husband, I guess, is their supervisor or her superior, and she just was talking about how there was like a really awkward dynamic between the two of them, because he's the one that's like disciplining her, but there's also a conflict of interest because it's his wife, and so just kind of a unique circumstance and how that kind of is causing tension in the workplace and stuff like that. And so that's more on the topic of workplace dating and relationships, but I thought that was a good insight. Let's just cover that really quick. What are your thoughts on like dating in the workplace?
Well, I feel like, I mean, that definitely leads to conflict of interest for sure. But I think for people who wait later to get married, that's a huge, I mean, they spend most of their time working, so the likelihood of it happening is, I don't know. You know what I'm
Higher.
saying? Yeah.
Definitely. So I don't know if you heard that, Ali, but Catherine was just saying that like as you get older, and like if you're not married while you're young, like it's very likely that you'll get married to, or there's a possibility that you're going to be dating coworkers, because you spend the majority of your time at work, and so it's just likely that that's where your relationships will kind of take off at. And so it's just one of those things that, I don't know, Catherine, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is that like a good thing or a bad thing, or what do you think?
You know, I'm not sure. I think that it probably not. I think you should avoid it if you can.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'm going to try, and I'm actually going to grab a little speaker. I have a little speaker box. Hold on 1 second. This might help to be able to hear you a little bit better. I don't know why it's so quiet. I'm sure it's just probably the headphones. But that way, Allie can hear you, possibly, if I can get this going. So, let's see. All right, Allie, I'm going to put this speaker box so you might be able to hear Catherine. You want to give us a shout really quick?
Hey there.
Can you hear that better?
Hi. Yeah, it's way better.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Awesome.
So anyways, yeah, I'll put this down so that way you guys can kind of hear what's going on now.
That's so weird.
So anyways, back to the fun discussion that we were having. So what are your guys' thoughts on drug use in the workplace? That was one of the things that we were going to talk about.
So I remember there being a section about this in the IO workbook, especially regarding like alcohol, because a lot of people do drink, but a lot of people abuse alcohol as well. And so I think, sorry, I just said that in the library and people just give me some weird looks. So, but I think that a company should have in place like just like a program to be able to help them if they may be struggling. And I think obviously having some sort of drug tests for people that are potentially going to be hired on would be a good way to prevent that.
Definitely. No, I would. Go ahead, Allie. Do you have any other thoughts, Allie? No worries if you don't, but I just am curious.
No, that she pretty much summed up what I was thinking.
Definitely. No, one of the reasons why I kind of, so I wanted to go into drug and alcohol counseling, And that was one of my initial, I don't know, I figured I could help some people, you know, get control of their lives sort of thing. But one of the things that I really like about IO is that they, a lot of the research has concluded that it's cheaper to have these people get help than to fire them and then have to hire and retrain and do all these different things. And I thought that was such an awesome approach, because it's like, that gives people that do, you know, fall into the trap of addiction, it gives them the opportunity to get the help that they need. And a lot of the times, I don't know, I feel like my if I was an administrator or something like that, my initial approach would be to just let go of somebody that wasn't performing well. And if it was drug related, you know, it's kind of one of those things where I'd be sympathetic toward it, you know, and but at the same time, if it affects your company, you kind of have to, especially the safety of your employees, like you'd have to let them go. But it's cool that it's a better option to help them get help. And so I think that's really neat. So I like that a lot.
You know, I'm kind of curious. Do you think that's a possibility for smaller companies to have like ways?
I don't think so. Because the thing is like, if your wages, I mean, some alcohol treatments, you know, and other stuff, I mean, they can be, you know, $20,000 or whatever. And I don't know to what extent the companies get involved. I'm sure that they probably have, you know, AA and NA and the different, you know, resources that you can get outside of, you know, those expensive programs.
Yeah.
But I think for smaller companies, it's not really an option, I'll be honest. So, unfortunately, and I don't know, anyways, we'll different topic, but I've definitely seen substance abuse and alcohol abuse take its toll on people, you know, and so it's just one of those things that I think that if we can help people get away from that stuff, it's a pretty good thing to get involved in. So divorce and family, how would you approach somebody that's going through a divorce? How would you guys go about that, you think?
Like if someone was going through a divorce, like within my company?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that like you have to be like sensitive to like personal issues, but you can't like coddle them because they're your employee, not your friend. So it's just that you have to find a happy medium where you're sympathetic, but it's also an understanding, but you also have to be professional about it because you don't want to overstep boundaries.
Definitely. Catherine, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so have you guys ever seen the movie 500 Days of Summer?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. Allie, have you seen it?
Have I seen what?
500 Days of Summer.
I've seen parts of it.
Okay. Well, okay, so hopefully I don't spoil anything if you want to watch it. But so the guy ends up being like really miserable because he just broke up with his girlfriend, and like he totally takes it out on his work. And his boss brings him in and is like, "Hey, I started noticing that your behavior is sort of weird, like your cards." He works at like a greeting card place, and he's like, "Your cards are kind of depressing because I'm assuming that's how you're feeling. So we're gonna channel this energy towards something productive." And so we like put him in like the grieving card section. Anyway, I just thought it was like a good move as far as what his boss did, because, you know, obviously whatever this life event is really affecting him at work, but he didn't just fire him. He tried to use it for a good purpose. If that makes sense.
Definitely. I think it's interesting how more and more employees and employers are, well, I guess more specifically employers, but how they're getting more creative with how they handle their staff, because I think a lot of people just, I mean, it just goes to show that if you help do good things, like good things can come from it. And I like that people are getting creative and helping their employees. I can't remember which company it was, but we read, I think this week it was like employees first, customers second. And I thought that was a very unique approach because a lot of people will say, you know, we're solely focused on our customers. That's our number one concern. And it's like, well, you know, it's kind of like your family. Like you can go and like serve. I don't know why this analogy just clicked in my head, but you could go and serve, you know, in your callings and you can help other people. But it's like if your family is struggling, like that should be your focus. You know, that should be kind of where your priorities are. And I feel like same thing applies for a company. Like that's your family. That's what, you know, helps you to be productive, and you should focus your energy and time on your employees as opposed to just only on your customers.
Yeah. That's
So,
good.
anyways, Ali, what are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on this one other than what you mentioned?
No, I kind of just like reiterating what she said. I can only hear bits and pieces because it cuts out.
I did have another thought. So just kind of with the beginning half of this week talking about the virtual workplace, and I think also considering like, what do they call it? Flexi time or something like that, where they're able to schedule their own hours. I think that makes a huge difference, especially for women that are working. I think just people in general, though, that they're able to do the work that they need to get done. And I think I could be wrong in saying this, but I feel like they're more productive during those hours because they have so much autonomy and being able to choose when they're going to spend their time, and they don't feel like they have to sacrifice spending time with their family.
No, I would agree. I would agree 100%. Because like, it's kind of one of those things that like, if I was required to do homework from 9 in the morning to 5 at night, like that wouldn't really be enjoyable. But I'm able to get everything accomplished that I need to for school on my time. It's just that I have to be trusted to do that, you know. And obviously, nobody's employing me to go to school, but it's like, if I could do that same thing with my work, like that would be awesome. Because it's like it's my time. Like if I want to take a break, I'm more than able to. And if I feel like I can really hit it hard for a while, like I will. But I don't know. I just think that people kind of underestimate, like, people can be trusted. It just takes trusting them, and that's a hard thing to do, I guess. I know that from callings and from work experience and everything. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so the third topic that we will cover is so it kind of tying into what you're just talking about with flex time, but home and work balance. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the home work balance?
I thought the article was pretty interesting. I think that working from home definitely has like its pros and cons. For me, I don't know that I could work from home just because I don't know that I would get anything done. Like it would be really hard for me to find the motivation to be productive.
Definitely. And I think that even the person that had wrote that case study, or that was the interviewee of the case study, said the exact same thing. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all sort of thing. I think, I don't know, just in relation to like what we talked to, I think, were we talking about burnout last week or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was in a different class. Anyways, but you need to find that balance between work and activities and home and everything, or else you're going to get burnt out. Like people need to pace themselves and find the balance between work and what they do at home. And I really do. I'm an advocate for flex time. I think that there's a lot of benefits from flex time. I think it does give that the people the autonomy. But the nice thing is like you had mentioned, like, you know, you can still go to work and do flex time. You don't have to do that from home. You can just enjoy the benefits of showing up when you want to and, you know, leaving when you want to, as long as you put in the full day kind of thing. So I like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on work-family balance?
No, I thought you I thought you phrased it pretty well.
I would just say that it gets harder to make that distinction with all the technology that we have, because you can be in communication with your coworkers all the time. And so I think it has to be a conscious choice rather than maybe a physical separation. You know what I mean?
Definitely. No, we're definitely all connected, through technology, and so that kind of makes that differentiation a little bit more difficult. They'll overlap. There's a lot. So, let's see. Let me look here on the instructions. So what about same-sex relationships? What are your guys' thoughts on that in the workplace? I don't think, do we even have any reading about same-sex relationships in the workplace?
We didn't.
I don't think so.
I'm surprised they have that as a topic for us. I don't know. My thoughts are this is my approach. I don't understand what people with same-sex attraction go through, and so I'm not gonna put my input in on it just because it's not really my place to judge people that may have that tendency. But in the workplace, as long as they're keeping their affection,
as long as they're professional,
exactly.
Then you can't change who people are.
So, Catherine, did you catch that?
Yeah. So is this talking about like if two people are in a relationship in like the same company, or just the fact that someone has same-sex attraction that you hire?
Oh, you know what? I honestly don't know. Just as same-sex relationships, and so I was thinking about people that were in a relationship, but I guess just the topic of. So I don't know, whatever direction you want to take it. I mean, I guess like for example, like maybe your company, just has like protections against same-sex relationships. Like if you're in one, we support, or we won't support it, but we'll be, you won't have to worry about your job, or whatever being compromised. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I don't know for this one. It just says same-sex relationships.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't hesitate to hire someone if they had same-sex attraction. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe,
I think as long as they know it's the same if you were dating someone that you work with. You just have to be appropriate.
I think that's the key. Is just being.
I don't think that there should be any sort of difference just because they have same-sex attraction, because that's discriminatory and that can cause problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think it's just just be responsible and just never put people in an uncomfortable position. You never want to put people off. But I feel like most people that have that tendency, in my experience has been that they've just been completely normal people. They're responsible and they act appropriately, and they just that's their personal life, and they keep their work life and their personal life separate, just like anybody else would. So. We kind of already touched down on the workplace and dating relationships. That's the one that we kind of opened up with. What other topics would you guys want to talk about, just for the sake of not running too short? But what would you guys talk about? What are some of the fun things that you learned from this week's readings?
I really liked the home and work balance thing. I thought that was really cool.
Definitely. Catherine?
How she started her own company so she could spend more time with her kids.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat too. I thought that it was cool how different her approach is, but how successful that approach is as well.
I was just gonna say that the idea, I forget what it's called, but the virtual workplaces, I thought that was a really neat idea. But I think that I don't know. I just being able to work individually, I think promotes creativity, and then being able to go into a different environment, autonomy in that, and but having that collaboration with other people that are working, but they may not be necessarily working in the same organization. I just think it's a really neat idea.
Definitely. And I thought it was cool that they provided those little hubs for people that, so that way they could get the benefits of working at home and, but also if they were feeling like they wanted to be creative, they could go to those hubs and connect with people. Because I think, I don't know, I really enjoyed working at the places that I've worked because of the social aspect, and I enjoy going to school. I enjoy the social aspect of that as well, and I think that's an important part of what you do in an organization. It's like it creates like ties of creativity, of unity, of like purpose, and it just is an important part of it. So I think it's cool that they've been able to do some cool things with online work. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else for this stuff. I think we've only discussed for about 15 minutes, so this isn't a particularly long video. And I know that we obviously have a small group, but just kind of want to kill some time so that way we can have a thorough discussion. Is there anything that you guys want to rehash?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. I guess like real quick before we wrap up, we'll do about 5 more minutes at least. That way we have a 25 minute discussion or so. But what specific steps would you take for some of these things? Like, so I'll give you. How about this? I'll present you guys with an example and like, what would you do with this person specifically? And so, for example, what if you guys like had an employee that showed up to work and like he was like definitely either hungover or drunk? Like, how would you handle that specific situation?
What was the question again? Sorry, you broke up.
Oh no, sorry. So if you had an employee show up either hungover or drunk, like how would you handle that situation?
I think that it just depends, but I don't think there's any tolerance for that. Like if you have a job, like you should show up and be professional, and you shouldn't. I don't know. You're just wasting other people's time if you're just showing up under the influence.
No, I would agree for sure. So would you fire that employee, or would you send him home and then work through it, or would it?
You get like a written warning, and if it happens again, they should get fired.
Okay. Catherine, what do you think?
I'd probably send him home that day and just have him kind of be put on probation.
Definitely. So it sounds like, I agree with both of you guys. I think that would be a good approach. And especially, especially it would all have to be a circumstantial, like if they were a good employee and they went out and they just had a late night with their friends, that's one thing. You send them home and you say, hey, if this happens again, you're going to have, we're going to have to let you go. But, but if they're a terrible employee and their behavior's, inconsistent and they're having issues and they show up drunk, then I would definitely have to have a serious sit down with them and say, hey, like, you're really on some thin ice and this is not helping your case. And so we need to either evaluate what we can do better or we're going to have to let you go like right then and there, I think that would be a good way to go about it. And then let's do one more of those. We'll come up with like a hypothetical. So like, let's say like one of your employees is currently going through a divorce and they're just like haggard. They can't, they're not performing well. They're disrupting employees. They're like depression is like causing other employees' performance to suffer. So like, what do you guys do?
I don't know. That's kind of a tough one.
Like, would you give them a leave of absence until they can get things figured out? Do you counsel with them and just say, hey, these are the things that we're kind of getting from our end, like we need you to pick it up, or what do you think?
I think a leave of absence might be fair in that particular scenario.
Fair enough. Catherine, what do you think?
I don't know, because I think if you have them leave, then they just have more time to think about it. I don't know. I would ask them what they could do, what they feel capable in doing to stay productive and get their mind off of it. And then I'd ask them to see like professional counseling if they were that depressed.
That's awesome. I think that's a really good way to handle that. Because I think that's important that you noted that like you just send them home, that they're just going to dwell on it. Gives them more time to be absorbed in those feelings, which isn't necessarily the best approach. But I think to get it into the hands of somebody that can really help them, I think that's a really good approach. So anyways, well, peeps, I think we're cool. We'll call it there, and hopefully that was kind of the discussion that we wanted to have. But like real quick, there's a wrap up. So just real quick, I guess, before we wrap up or call it quits, what issues do you think we're going to see in the future in regards to some of these things? Like, do you think we're going to see an increase in how divorce impacts? Do you think we're going to see an increase in how drug abuse impacts? Do you think like, what are your guys' thoughts? How are these things going to affect the future, do you think?
I just think that, like, you gotta take it one step at a time. You're always gonna have, like, employees that want to, like, break the rules and not respect their employers. So just go with your gut feeling. Most of the time, it ends up being exactly right.
Definitely. Catherine, what are your thoughts? What do you think we're going to see in the future?
I don't know, probably an increase in all those things. I think that maybe less importance on the family because there will be less structure in that area. So maybe people don't put quite as much value on it as before. I don't know.
Definitely, no, I'd agree. Trying to think of, I just, like you said, I think that these things are going to continue to impact the workplace, and the workplace is definitely changing, how we operate, and so it'll just be kind of interesting to see how things continue to, especially with our generation, I think a little bit. I don't know. There seems to be a stigma that millennials are entitled, and they kind of have this negative feeling associated with that title. But it'll definitely be interesting to see what this generation does in regards to the workplace, and then also outside of the workplace. It'll just be kind of fun to watch that progress. Maybe not so much fun, but it'll definitely be different. So anyways, let's go ahead and we'll just wrap up. We'll call it for the meeting. Is there any concluding thoughts that you guys have?
No, I'm pretty solid.
Okay, cool. Well, good discussion. Sorry, it was kind of a weird layout. There was no like specific questions. It was just like all, kind of, I don't know, kind of a weird discussion, but I think we covered some.
Sorry, I have to be on the phone.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And maybe I'll put a note when I post that we had to use the phone since the Google Hangout was working or whatever. But
yeah, I would.
Yeah, I'll do that when I post it on Google+. But also in reference to our doohickey paper, what's our timeline? What time do you guys want to? Allie, what were you saying having that finished up by?
Sunday night.
Okay. Catherine, does that work for you?
Yeah, so my plan was to finish it either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's what I'm hoping to. So, yeah, and let's go ahead and so yeah, we'll try to get those done either tonight or tomorrow, And good luck on your guys' exams this weekend. Let me know if there's anything that we can do. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.